folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Weekly Movie News Podcast. This week's news brought to you by what happens in Vegas stays in the internet forever for everyone to freak out about. Yes. So let's talk about last week in Las Vegas. CinemaCon was underway, and with it came some announcements. Now, overall, CinemaCon is where top talent and studio bigwigs come to talk about the upcoming films for both this year and in future years. It's a lot of sneak peeks, extended views, and brand new trailers for 2025. So I can't really talk about those, more so if you're interested to check those out yourself, whether it be the new trailer for Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, Tron Ares, an extended trailer for the new Superman film, which upset a lot of people, Freakier Friday trailer, Zootopia 2, Wicked 2, and so on and so on. There was a lot of those, but mostly I'll just get into some of the newly announced projects here. So first, the next Tom Holland Spider-Man film has a date and a name. It's coming out on July 31st, 2026, and it's called Spider-Man Brand New Day. Some John Wick updates. Wick is getting an animated prequel, and it's now in development. Also, John Wick 5 is officially announced and is happening with Keanu and director Chad Stahelski. A new Hunger Games movie is coming out next year called Sunrise on the Reaping. Sony is coming out with 4 biopics in the future, each film focusing on one of the Beatle members. So they will all be directed by Sam Mendes and stars as follows. So Paul Mescal will be starring as Paul McCartney. Harris Dickinson will be John Lennon. Joseph Quinn as George Harrison, and Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr. More news here. Scream 7, Sonic 4, and The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender is coming in 2026. And Amazon says that the new James Bond film will be a fresh, exotic new chapter, and that ties us into our next story here. So apparently production is starting right now as we speak in London for the new Bond film. There's still no announcement for the cast, but it seems more and more that it will likely be directed by Alfonso Cuarón. He had said in Paris last week that, quote, "There is indeed this project under discussion, and I have a desire, if it happens, to revisit this story in my own way," end quote. So now we just have a lot of director news. First, starting with Mr. J.J. Abrams. His new movie is going to be shooting next month. There's no title yet for the picture, but it is rumored to be an 80s throwback and is loosely inspired by The Last Starfighter. So some of the cast will be Jenna Ortega, Emma Mackey, and Samuel L. Jackson, with Glenn Powell starring. That guy is just everywhere these days. This will be Abrams' first film in 6 years that he's directing. Director Guy Ritchie will be directing Roadhouse 2 over at Amazon, and Jake Gyllenhaal will be back to star. Luca Guadagnino is eyeing his own adaptation on American Psycho. The script is almost done already by writer Scott Z. Burns, who wrote The Bourne Ultimatum, Contagion, The Report over on Amazon, and has uncredited rewrites on Star Wars Rogue One and No Time to Die. Guadagnino says that he's in talks with very exciting performers for the lead roles, so we'll see what happens there. But getting to be a well-known director redoing American Psycho, that was a little surprising. And last directors here, I have David Fincher and Quentin Tarantino, as some questions were finally answered. So overall, no, Quentin will not be directing a new film in December, as I was seeing in the previous weeks as being reported. Instead, he wrote a script for a film that David Fincher will be directing on Netflix. It will be starring Brad Pitt and will be based on Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Clint Booth. The rumors right now are that it will take place around a decade after the events in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's a strange thing for Quentin to do, but again, he's very involved. If he's writing it, that's all good. And apparently, as far as stage plays goes, Quentin probably will be doing a stage play soon. One more thing I wanted to touch on that took place at CinemaCon, which was a talk with the chief executive at AMC Theaters, Adam Aron. So he spoke a lot about the theater industry, but particularly about the release window for movies. So he would like to see a 45-day minimum window for movies to be released in theaters before being able to go to streaming. So Aaron said that, quote, "We have started conversations with almost every major studio so far. As an industry, collectively, we need to fix this, and we need to bring back at least a 45-day window, and then we can talk about should it be more than 45 days. But it can't be 25, it can't be 28 days, right? And it can't be 32 days, because it's robbing movie theaters of movie goers." He has also said that with AMC in talks, he has gotten 3 of the 6 major studios in complete agreement to bring back the 40-day time frame. So that's pretty encouraging, I have to say. We'll see how it all shakes out, but has a lot to do with what Vin Daly and I have been talking about recently of what can they do to kind of save theaters or at least have a mixed relationship as far as in theater and in streaming. Lastly, just some respect for Val Kilmer. So Val passed away at the age of 65 from pneumonia last week. Kilmer has been suffering from throat cancer in recent years. It took him away from basically his speech entirely and his ability to work on films. His last role was in Top Gun: Maverick, and Kilmer was one of the biggest names in Hollywood in the 90s and has always been loved by his co-stars and is respected as a great American actor. From his roles in Tombstone, Top Gun, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, to starring as Jim Morrison and Batman himself, praise for Kilmer has been outpouring from actors and directors everywhere. And Tom Cruise opened CinemaCon with some kind words and a moment of silence for Val. And if you all want to get a better idea of who Val Kilmer was as a person, there was a documentary called Val that was released in 2021, which is a great source to know who the actor was and also his 4 decades of work. All right, let's jump into the box office for this past weekend. 5th best at the box office was The Woman in the Yard with $4.5 million. Then Snow White with $6.1. Third for the weekend was Chosen, The Last Supper Part 2 with $6.7 million. Second was A Working Man with $7.3. And well, the best film this past weekend was a Minecraft movie, which totally and completely blew past all expectations with an opening weekend of $157 million in the U.S. It is the best opening weekend ever for a video game adaptation and has already racked up a worldwide total of $301 million. You know, with a budget being $150, the film will already be in the green this week. So, very surprising to everybody and also very good for Warner Brothers. Now let's get into the movies of the week, and Mr. Vincent Daly will be watching, rating, and reviewing. Well, not the box office hit Minecraft, because that'll be for next week, but this coming week is birthday week, folks, so we're covering The Long Voyage Home from 1940, directed by John Ford. We then have 1957's Paths of Glory by Stanley Kubrick, 1970's Patton, starring George C. Scott, 2013 Starred Up by David Mackenzie, and lastly, 2018's A Star is Born, directed and starring Mr. Bradley Cooper. So that's it for your weekly movie news, folks. We'll leave you today with a quote from a director, David Fincher. You know, I don't try to piss people off, right? It's just always the right thing to do. And all right, folks, the Daily Ratings Weekly Movie News Podcast, that was it. See you on Thursday.